Hey, what's up? It's Nick Nash, also known as Slick Nick, back from the break. Hope you had a good break. It did me wonders. Actually, I made a lot of progress. But I should have ran a little more. I'm realizing how valuable walking and exercise and whatever is good for your brain. Actually, maybe that's why I figured it out. Took a little walk. I should run though. Whoa, that is really large. All right. You're looking at my screen. Correct screen. Good. Okay, what did I do while on the break? First, I figured out how to join the Ruby on Rails hex chat. You might not care, but I thought it was pretty amazing that. Hey, is someone? Mr. Tangent Storm was kind enough to respond to me. I didn't actually see that. Anyway, so I was trying to get into Ruby on Rails, which I'm in. Yay! With a lot of awesome people in here, apparently. I'm just wondering what this guy is asking that makes him think he's bothering people. But so you can get in here, but you have to register. So to register, you have to identify yourself. You have to register first. So to register, you type blah blah blah, message Nick serve, register, put your password in and your email. You'll get an email. You verify it by copying and pasting something back into the register. They say, "Great, you're registered." And then I was like, oh man, I want to use a different screen name. So I changed my name and learned that you can do something called group. I don't think I posted that. Anyway, this is how you identify. This is telling you something else I don't know about. Do I have the group thing? Groups. This page, registry. Yeah. So you just change your name, message Nick Serve group, and that's actually when I did that, I think it did it for me. So yeah, and then I was able to just join hashtag Ruby on Rails. I haven't talked to anyone, but it might come in handy in the future. I like that it's kind of seclusive. You have to at least identify yourself. You have to put some skin in the game. They can ban you. You won't get in with your email. Then, what did I do? I fixed my Ruby on Rails installation. Amazing. So, I was in such a hurry I didn't look at the error, but it said, look at this website for a fix. Please refer to, I tried Rails server, I get this error. It says, please refer to blah, 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 blah. So I went there and it was kind enough to tell me what to do. Basically, gem file, it told me, if you have a 64-bit gem file, then you should have this. So I literally copy pasted, they had it in the website, copy pasted this. Then they said, I'll just get the page if I have it. Yeah, so here it is. Blah, blah, blah. I just skimmed, found this. If you're using 64-bit version of Ruby's on Windows, then add that. So I copied that, put it in there, and then it says, after editing your gem file, run bundle update. What does that do? I don't know, but it did something. the command line, and that installs that data gem. Super. You'll then be able to start your project, and sure enough, I was able to start. Amazing. So, as you can see right now, I got an update, blah blah blah. It's updated, yay! And now Rails server, and I have one view. Cool. And then back to where. And then I was able to go to localhost 3000, and I have this, which actually I also got it working on my Mac super fast. Apparently comes with Rails by default. And I was glad to do that, but I was even gladder to get that working. I can see why Macs are around a lot in these development shops. I mean, it's more for programming almost, or I don't know, at least this open source type stuff. Windows, you'd probably want a Windows machine, I don't know. Okay, so that was all very exciting. Oh, and I even saw that I can SSH into my host monster using PuTTY. I didn't go any further because I got this working. But that is cool beans. A lot of good stuff after taking a walk. So with that said, I'm gonna close this. This can go away. Thank you, Mr. Tangent Storm. Check out Learn Programming on IRC if you're interested. Now back to this. Level 3, the views ain't always pretty.
Down your brains and your entrails. It's time to stop and learn some Rails. 'Cause we got something new to grab. Rails for Zombies by Andy
Labs.
You're watching Rails for Zombies, and this is level 3, where we're going to be talking about views, or the visual representation of our Rails application. Our views are where we find our user interface for our Rails application, and whenever you see views, you're going to be seeing this eyeball, kind of like I'm watching, which is not really...
Hang on, I want to see how my stream looks. Level 3, the views ain't always pretty. Cool. It looks good to me. Good. Everything. That's funny. I really should have put them in my name because they're awesome.
Not creepy at all.
Rails for Zombies.
Maybe a little bit. But anyways, it's the visual representation of our app.
What we see.
So once again, here's our user's browser, and they're going to do another request to our Rails app, which goes through 4 different
routing,
components. Now,
controller,
level,
model,
we talked about
view.
Models.
So next is the
And
controller.
this level, we're going to be talking about views, which sit about here. If we jump into our Rails application, Zombie Twitter, we're going to find an app folder. Remember, that's where our models were. And we're also going to find a views folder that gets created for us. Inside there, we're going to create a zombies folder and a tweets folder. Inside tweets, we're going to have an index file, index.html.erb, where we're going to be putting the HTML for listing all of our tweets.
Actually,
We also have
because I think I got this working. This is my Ruby on Rails hello world. Is this correct? Is that where I put it? Programming hello world Rails. Okay, cool. App. Controllers, helpless, models, views. Layouts. Do they have layouts? No. But it's okay. Views, layout. I don't even have a view. Views, zombies, tweets, views. Do I have controller? Yeah. What is this? How do I open that? Is that a Google icon? But concerns, application, helper. Keep it all. Keep it all, yep. Okay.
our show.html.erb, which is where we're going to
ERB. Ruby, I don't know. Zombies tweets. List all the tweets. Show or index, and then view a tweet show. Okay.
To an individual tweet. Now you're probably wondering,
It's probably a
I know what
part of a
HTML
page.
is. What's this ERB? Does it stand for edible rotting body?
That's what I was wondering,
No,
but not
it
that.
doesn't. Big surprise. It actually stands for embedded Ruby. It's our way of embedding Ruby code inside HTML. Let me show you what that
Why
looks
would you
like.
do that? Is it like
The
PHP?
first view we're going
kind
to
of.
look at is showing an individual tweet. So that's inside views, tweets, show.html.erb. We're going to go ahead and write some boilerplate HTML in here. Nothing out of the ordinary. And then we're going to use our tweet model to fetch the tweet with ID of 1. Notice that less than and greater than sign with the percentages next to them?
That's
This is how
Ruby.
we tell our Rails application the code inside here.
That's
is
just
the
like
Ruby that
PHP.
we want you to execute. So we're going to run that code, evaluate that Ruby code, and find the tweet with ID of 1. On the next line, we want to print out inside of an H1 the status of the tweet. Now you notice that there's something a little bit different with this code. We're using an equal sign. Putting an equal sign here
You're
tells
right.
Rails that whatever this code inside these tags returns, we want it to print out into our HTML. Lastly,
Ah.
let's print out who posted this tweet. So we'll say posted by,
It's like
and
echo.
use the brackets again, and do tweet.zombie.name. And if we call this up in the browser, we see our tweet status, where can I get a good bite to eat, and see that it was
Post
posted by
about,
Ash.
just like PHP. Okay.
From here, if we went to go and create
Although-
another,
What I'm a little confused about is how to use Angular or Ember inside of this. Do you just do the backend with the API stuff, Ruby on Rails? I assume this is showing you the full blah blah blah. That's my only question. I'll probably find out later. Evaluate Ruby, evaluate Ruby, and present results. Okay.
view. We would have to take
I
all
know
this
that
HTML
now.
and copy and paste a lot of the same HTML into it. You know, a lot of the header
Oh,
stuff
what did I
that's
miss?
posted by Ash. From here, if we went to go and create another view,
Oh,
we would have to take all this HTML and copy and paste a lot of the same HTML into it. You know, a lot of the header stuff that's the same on every page. This isn't very dry. A lot of
Don't
times in
repeat
Rails,
yourself.
we'll use the term dry, D-R-Y. It means don't repeat yourself. If you ever find yourself writing the same code twice, there's probably a way to avoid that. And here comes one example. We can take this code and move it out of our view and into a file which is in the views layouts directory called application.html.
layouts. Ah, I see
This
what you
is
did.
created for us with Rails by default. And it's where we put our boilerplate HTML code, you know, the headers and the footers and whatnot. Every page we create is going to use this template by default. But there's one problem. We need to tell our application.html.erb where to load the code inside of our show view. That's where our yield command comes in.
Yield.
Yield says, this is where the contents of this particular page go. In our case, what's inside show.html.erb. So
Super.
we've dried up our code, but now let's add some navigation to our page. How might we make that zombie name into a link? So when we click on the zombie name, it goes to a show zombie page. To create a link inside of our ERB file, the first thing we do is use our %= syntax. Because we want to print this out into the page, we're going to use a Rails helper method called link2. This will generate a link for us. The first parameter we specify for this method is the link text. In this case, we want the link text to be the zombie name. Then we
Is
specify
that a method?
URL.
Is that what he said?
Except really here, we're calling a method which returns the URL. See, Rails comes with a bunch of helpers which generate
It's like
URLs
Code Igniter.
for you. You should never have to hard code URLs. Here
Or
we're calling the zombie path helper method
ASP.NET.
and sending in the zombie that we want to link to.
That
There's actually an alternate syntax for this. We can simplify this even more. All we have to do is specify the zombie name that we want the link text to be, and then send in tweet.zombie. By default, just by sending in this zombie instance, Rails knows that we want to go to the show zombie view page. Here's the link recipe, which you'll need in the challenges. And in case you're wondering which syntax is better to use, I would go with the shorter one. So let's move that link up into our code. And now if we call it up in our browser, we can see that Ash is properly linked.
I need to look at.
This
I'm
zombie
confused by the
instance.
zombie path part.
The first parameter we specify for this method is the link
Parameter.
text. In this case, we want the link text to be for us. We're going to use a Rails helper method called
Helper method.
link to.
Link
This
to.
will generate a link for us.
Okay, got
The
it.
first parameter we specify for this method is the link text. In this case, we want the link text to be the zombie name.
Okay, so you could put anything,
Then
any
we
text in
specify
there.
the URL. Except really here, we're calling a method which returns the URL. See, Rails comes with a bunch of helpers which generate URLs for you. You should never have to hard code URLs. Here we're calling the zombie path.
You should never have to hard code URLs. That's an interesting statement. As a developer, I've often hard coded URLs. And I know I probably shouldn't. But that's interesting. This is probably a good practice. I assume this is some convention going on here. Zombie, all lowercase, underscore path knows it's looking, is this automatically generated? I assume it's automatically created for a zombie. It shows the path to, and then you're selecting the zombie. Zombie. Zombie is Ash. So this is the path. It's being created by the zombie path. Oh, zombie path. How does it? Okay, maybe we create that. We'll find
Helper
out.
method. And sending in
All right.
browser, we can see that Ash is properly linked. There's a lot of ways you need to modify HTML links when you're building web pages. How might you figure out the options that you could use with this link to helper? It's a good question. Well, Billy, we're glad you asked, and I
That is
don't
not
know
Billy.
why I'm calling you Billy, but I am.
Okay.
And so we're going to need to look up some documentation to figure out some of these options. The first way we can look this up is actually by looking in the Rails source code itself, right? So if we didn't have the Rails source, we could download it. We could go into the Rails directory, and we could grep for.
Where did I download it? Oh man. RIN. I don't know what that's doing.
def link to.
I'm gonna take his word for
So
it.
we
this
would
time.
find the function definition, and above that function, we would actually see some pretty good documentation. Now that's the hardcore way of doing it. Of
That is
course-
hardcore. I want to be hardcore, man. Gosh, I'm so hardcore. Look at this. Ruby. I'm lost. Dare I open it? Oh. Dare I search for it? Link to.
First, there's documentation that's up.
Help her. How? See, this is what really comes up, man. What? How am I supposed to know which one? Fix something to it. Interesting. What? Examples. That's a lot of examples for a change. That's probably not what he's thinking. Provides name routes for show, delete, and edit. I should probably search for
Already been generated. Which
def link to, like he said. Def. Go sublime, go. And I still got a lot of stuff. Oh, actually this is much shorter. URL helper. Oh, here we are. Link to visit other sites, comma, blah, 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 comma, data, confirm, are you sure? I guess that's an example. That's a little confusing. And I don't see that. To unless current, def link to unless. All right, cool. I'm hardcore now.
you can easily search through on the net. For example, going to api.rubyonrails.org, which always has the latest documentation. So if we go there, it looks something like this. And if we type in link to in the upper left, it will very quickly give us a couple different options. We can click on the first one, since that's what we want, and it will give us some really great documentation, as well as some good examples. If we scroll down the page, we would see there's this one data attribute called confirm. And
How
this
am I
is just a
supposed
way
to
that we
know
can add a
link to
confirm
exists?
box. So let's see what happens.
That's the one I found, you know. I saw that confirm in there already. Wait, where did he click?
And this is when we add that to our link to. Here we are back in our show, and we're going to specify confirm, are you sure, as the last argument. And there we go. We go back into our web page, and we click that link. We get this nice pop-up that says, are you sure? Now let's jump back into our Rails application. As we saw in the views directory, there's also a layouts directory. And inside there, we have our application.html.erb, which contains the template for our web page. We already defined the show.html.erb, but now let's go ahead and define the index.html.erb. This is where we're going to list out all of our tweets. Here we are inside of our index.html.erb, and the first thing that we want to do is specify a title.
Cross-reference.
Then we need to create a table.
Meta.
The table is going to have two headers, one that shows the status and one that shows the zombie that posted this status. Now we need some code that will allow us to loop through every tweet. Then inside of that loop, we're going to print out some things. We're going to print out tweet status, and we're going to print out tweet.zombie.name, the person who created this tweet. So here comes the code that's going to allow us to loop through each of the tweets. First, we're going to call tweet.all. This will return an array of all of the tweets. And then on that array, we're going to be calling .each do tweet. So this is a code block. What's happening here is we're telling our code, go through each of the tweets.
Real quick, I get the idea. So maybe I should play this for you, but it's going to go through each of the tweets and display the status and the name. I want to look at the syntax so I can get this damn test right. Tweet. First we use the % signs. Tweet. It's capitalized. It's a tweet. We are using the model stuff tweet.all.each. So we select all. I could do find multiple of them and then that do. What gets me is do tweet. So it gets a lowercase tweet. Why is it in the absolute value? Why is that an absolute value of tweet? It's not absolute value, but why do you need that? I don't know. But obviously they're using this. There's a recipe. End. You end that do thing.
In the array, every time setting the current tweet to the tweet local variable inside that code block.
Okay.
So it goes through the first tweet, sets it, prints it, goes through the second, goes through the third, and so on and so forth. So let's talk a little bit about what each of these items in here return. So remember, when we call tweet any place in our Rails app, it will reference a class. That class is our model.
Cool.
When we call tweet.all, we're calling the all method on our tweet model. That returns an array of tweets. And then when we call tweet inside of our code block, that's going to be a single tweet from that array that got returned. And if we call this up in our browser, we can see it properly lists out all of our tweets. How do you think we would turn each of these values into links? So we could link to the show tweet page and the show zombie page.
Hang on.
Well, it would look
Link to the text, comma, then something underscore path, zombie path, or tweet path. Tweet path. Then the ID of the tweet, or the local tweet.
something like this. We would simply call the link to helper, have the tweet.status as the link text, and specify tweet as the second argument, which will link us to the show tweet page. We just programmed that a minute ago. Then we'll call link to and specify the zombie name as the link text.
How does that
And we
path
want that to link
work?
to that specific zombie, to show that zombie. And here's a
Oh,
screenshot
it's the
of what that
shorthand.
looks like.
It's doing secret stuff behind the scenes.
This works great, but what if we don't have any tweets yet? What if we call up this page and
Empty
there's
table.
none? And
That's
there's nothing
sad.
that says to us that there really is none, and we're left feeling like the page hasn't finished loading yet, or it's broken. How might we change this so that it shows no tweets found if there's no tweets?
If statement.
Figure that out.
Conditional.
So here we are back with our tweet each loop.
This,
To fix this,
first, I gotta say, this is really great. Like, just the amount of effort that went into this, making it organized, theming it for zombies. What? Views? Zombie views? What? Green line. Anyway, production quality, amazing.
To pull the tweet all out, we're going to set that equal to a variable called tweets. Then we're going to call tweets.each, and it's going to go through that array. We'll say if tweets.size equals 0, and then we'll specify what to print out if it is 0, and then we'll end that conditional. So only if that conditional is true will it print out what's in between the if and the end.
Makes
And if
sense.
we jump back into our browser, we see that it now prints out no tweets found. Sometimes our zombies might change their mind and they might want to edit their tweets or delete their tweets. So how might
Zombies
we add
won't wanna
links
do that.
right here that would allow them
They don't have
to do that,
minds.
or get them one step closer? To do an edit link in Rails, it looks something like this. We say link to, specify edit, and then to generate the right URL, we write edit
Tweet.
path, and then send in the tweet.
Is that convention? Are you serious?
Then to create a delete link, we do link to destroy. We send in the tweet that we want to delete, and then specify method delete. These URL generators may feel a little weird in the syntax, but don't worry, there is a method to the madness. Also, this is the first time that we've seen a hash where we have a symbol as a key, which links to another symbol as a value. That's why we have those two colons there.
I don't see colon. Oh. Oh, I didn't even see two. Yeah, you're gonna have to tell me what the heck just happened there. Hang on, repeat that.
We send in the tweet that we want to delete,
Tweet.
and then specify method delete. These URL generators may feel a little weird in the syntax, but don't
Little
worry,
bit.
there is a method to the madness. Also, this is the first time that we've seen a hash where we have a symbol as the key, which links to another symbol as a value. That's why
Symbol as a key that links to another symbol that has a value. I'm not sure what he's talking about. Symbol. Key. So symbol that has a key. Method to a symbol. So anything that's a symbol has a colon somewhere near it. Okay.
we have those two colons there. And if we call up the web page, we can see that we have a bunch of links now.
Don't tell me this actually does work. You have to create that, maybe. I could see that working. It would be amazing. How does it know where to go to edit? Like, really? And then, of course, the delete. Does that actually delete it from the database? What? So,
Let's take a look at all of those URL generators and what the URL is that they generate. So first up, to list all the tweets, basically go to our index action that we just created. We use the code tweets_path.
yeah, I saw that.
The URL this generates is /tweets.
So it generates the URL. Okay.
To get a new tweet form, typically in Rails, we use the code new_tweet_path to generate the URL /tweets/new. The following URL generators need a specific tweet to send in as an argument. So the first one here is to show a tweet. We saw this before. And we just send in the tweet instance itself, and it generates a URL, which has /tweet/1. Then to edit a tweet, we use edit tweet path tweet, which generates a URL which looks like this.
It's beautiful.
And then to delete a tweet, we use this code, which generates a URL like
It's not a
this.
delete or anything. It just does.
And as I mentioned, this code column, those are the URL generators.
Code. Text to show. And then code.
And those all go in our link to as the second argument. I'm sure your zombie brain is full of syntax at this point, so why don't you stumble on over to the challenges?
I will. It really makes me want to play Left 4 Dead now. Start the challenges. Start your challenges. Hang on. Surely has a Twitter. I'm gonna see if I can attract some friends. Peak concurrent 0. Twitter. Did I tweet it? I tweeted a post. Posted a tweet. Rails for Zombies, does that look correct? I will follow them now because they did a lot of good work. Why isn't that a shortcutted? There it is. Cool. That is freaky, but it's cool. I'll change it someday. Go to school. I don't have to rhyme. I don't have the time. It's not a crime. God, it might be. Print out the zombie's name and graveyard. Oh, we got a graveyard now? Oh yeah, we do. We already said. Waiting on your code. I need my code. I don't need no hints, man. Alright. Insert zombie name here. Oh, they're gonna even cheat for me. What? Wait, what? Zombie equals zombie dot first. Print out the zombie's name. Zombie dot name. They're helping me out big time. They're like, you ain't got no points, man. Zombie dot graveyard. Congratulate. Whoa. Okay. Well, that was too easy, man. Y'all gotta make it hard. What? Did I get points? 250? I should have more points. Oh, it's minusing from 250 total. Okay. I do have a total point. Zombie. Insert zombie link here. Link to zombies show page. Use the zombie's name as the anchor text. So you do link, I forget what this is called, but link to, I want the text to be the zombie's name. Zombies show page. Oh. Link to, oh man, it was like path to, I don't want, path to show? No. I'm gonna put a comma here too, maybe. Path to? Is it even path to? What was one that was there? That's where the code goes. Method destroy, I remember that because that was crazy. There was a comma before the method destroy, I think, so I'm gonna put the comma there. Link to zombie name. Is this like putting it on multiple lines, basically? Yeah. Link. Show page. Can I just do zombie? That is some crazy errors. Meets into file. I don't know what you're saying, man. You gotta hold yourself. Zombie.id. I don't think that's it. I know that's not. Zombie path to zombie. Zombie underscore path, maybe? Path to zombie. Zombie. Man, I know it's close. Zombie path. I think I'm feeling it. Ah, I lost it. Let's see. Link 2. I got that. I got points off of that, man. Link 2. Anchor first. I got that too, yo. You killing me. That's what I put. Link 2, zombie.name. Zombie. I did that. No? Oh. I'm a fool. Oh. Would have had it long ago, but I can't code. Apparently. Alright. I got one watching. That's me. I think. Maybe. Maybe not. Telling my girlfriend to watch me, or at least turn the stream on so I get a viewer. Use in each block to print the names of all the zombies. Oh man, this is a crazy voodoo stuff going on here. Right here. Insert block here. Do. No. It was zombies dot all dot do. I don't know why I gotta do that. Look at this, man. It's easy peasy, cheesy, lemon squeezing. I just guess until I get it. Name. All. What did it say? Zombies? Oh, it already did all. What was the thing that they had? I don't remember now. Oh, and I like that error helpfulness. Oh, wait. I don't. I guess zombie dot names. No. That H. Output almost. I should have. I could just put Ash in there. Will that work? I'm gonna hack the system. Yeah. What? I'm gonna have to hack the system. I gotta try this. I'm gonna copy that. Delete. delete, delete. Ash, Bob, Jim. Okay, that's not right. That ain't right. That ain't right. Each. Boom. Didn't even cheat it that much. Why do I have a space? Because I have a space here. Makes sense. Each. I feel like if you do the each, you don't need to put the do, but I guess okay. Okay, whatever. Next challenge. Oh yeah, the if. If each. If a zombie has more than one tweet, print out smart zombie. So within. So it says zombie, smart zombie. So I have to do a count. I don't remember the if even though. If zombie dot tweets dot count, that would make sense to me. If zombie dot tweets dot count man, I don't remember. The answer is. So you do, okay, so you wrap it. I was wanting to put like, do I put parentheses? Count is greater than 1, then you end it also. I should have just copied that. Then I output more zombie. Does that work? Zombie does not count. Cool. And each block make the zombie's name link to its edit page. Link to its. Okay. And each block make the zombie's name link to its edit page. Okay, so right now it's just outputting their names. So I do link to zombie's name, comma, zombie edit. The other time I did zombie edit, do I just do that and then it looks like an A, Zambi, every time I see it. Not every time. No route matches. Keyword edit do. I don't think I need help from there. edit. Edit zombie. Rake. I think I need to put I'll figure this out, man. Put a comma here? No. Can we go? I don't. Oh, no, that ain't right, man. That ain't right. That ain't right. Maybe so. Let's try. Aha. Edit. Zombie path. I was getting. Can I have partial credit, teacher? Is that the whole view answer? Oh. Edit zombie path. The edit comes first. So edit zombie path. Because it's a path, it's not just a zombie. Would that make sense? Could you get by with just removing a path part? I don't know. Cool. Controllers must be eaten. All right.
Down your brains and your entrails. It's time to stop and learn some rails. 'Cause we got
Real quick. They are busy in Ruby on Rails. Really busy. What did we just cover? What have we covered? Method, models, database, models, database, views. Now we're under controllers. The views, it's mainly linked to. I should really write these down. Maybe they'll have. I'm gonna start writing them down. Of course I need more notepads. How could I not need more notepads? Alright, I don't need this notepad anymore. It's kind of cool though. Actually, I could use that for my blog. Nah. Models, views, link to, edit. What's something that could be? Yeah. Edit model path, destroy. I don't know. Link to. Okay.
something new to grab. Reels for Zombies by Andy
MV Lab.
You're watching Rails for Zombies. This is level 4, where we're going to be talking about controllers, the brains of the application. Makes you hungry, don't it? Your controllers are typically where you use models to get data out of the database, and you use views to display the data that comes out of the models. It'll make more sense in a minute. So we're going to use this brain icon because it's kind of the brains of our application. Here we are back with our browser, and we have our 4 components of our application.
It's interesting to think brains are what connect things. You know? A brain, the other stuff's actually doing the useful stuff, but the brain just connects it. It's just the router between them. So I would say there's a lot of value in a brain. There's a lot of value in connecting things. How can I apply this in my life? Such as networking or leading groups. You don't really do the work, but you connect things. You connect people with work. You connect stuff That's what companies are built from. You have these technologies that do stuff, but when you connect them is the power. When you connect wheels and blah 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 and an engine and a steering wheel, then you get something good. So, I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's profound.
We've talked about the
Hashtag
models,
deep.
we've talked about the views, and now we're going to talk about the controllers, which go about there.
Sarcasm.
Back in our show view, here's the code that we had. Now there's something in here that smells like rotten brains, and it's basically that line right there where we call the tweet model.
Yeah, you're
That
doing
really
one.
shouldn't be happening in our view, because as I said a minute ago, it's our controller that should be calling the models.
Oh.
When a request comes into our application, let's call it tweet/1. Before getting to our view, it's first going to hit a controller. In this case, it's going to look inside of the controller's directory, which is created for us, for a file called tweets_controller.rb. Only then is it then going to render out the show view. There's no coincidence here that our URL has the word tweets in it, as does the name of our controller, as does the folder for our views. We don't have to map any of these things together if we use conventions. That's why sometimes people say that Rails follows convention over configuration. If we can follow some intelligent defaults or convention, then we can avoid configuration.
I have to say, so far I like these conventions because they make sense. Depends on how far they go with conventions. And also, can you configure it? But so far I'm okay with these. Like, they're just helpful.
But what belongs inside of our controller? Well, let's write it out. Inside of our controller, we're going to find that it has a class of
Inherits tweets controller. I'm surprised there's not an underscore. And it's, yeah, but it's capital T, capital C here too. Tweets controller inherits from application. Inherits. Why does that sound so weird?
of tweets controller,
Inherent.
uppercase tweets, uppercase controller, and that extends from application controller. The next step to define our controller is to define a show method. Sometimes we call the methods inside of our controllers actions. We can use the two terms interchangeably. Now there's no coincidence that this method we just defined, called show, happens to be the same name as our view show. One maps to the other. Inside of the show method is where we typically call our models and get data from the data.
So I just went full ADD. I might have to take a break soon as I notice myself getting
Controllers, actions.
I'm gonna have to
Let's write
back
it
up.
out. Inside of our controller, we're going to find that it has a class of tweets controller, uppercase tweets, uppercase
Class.
controller, and that extends from application controller.
Extends from,
The next
not inherits from.
step to define our controller is to define a show method. Sometimes we call the methods inside of our controllers actions. We can use the
Methods inside of controllers are actions. Methods inside controllers are actions. Or methods. Or actions. And you define it. Define show. And show automatically knows this. The routing is set up for this, huh? I don't know by default, or you have to set it up in this next level 5, but
two terms interchangeably.
really they're teaching us MVC of it all, right? That's what they're doing.
Now there's no coincidence that this method we just defined, called show, happens to be the same name as our view show. One maps to the other.
Oh, the view is show. Okay, they do that in ASP.NET and MVC as well.
Inside of this show method is where we typically call are models and get data from the database.
Let's fix
So
our
we're going to
code.
move
So we'll
up
move on
our
up,
tweet call into our controller,
Okay.
like you see here.
and then you can just
Now
access
when a
tweet.
request comes in, it's first going to go and call that show method inside of our controller. It's going to run that code, and once it gets to the end, it's then, by default, going to go look for our show view and render that out to our browser.
Sweet.
You might be wondering, what about variable scope?
No, I don't care.
How is it that our view has access to that tweet variable?
They're sending it along
Well,
in a
that's
view bag.
actually a good question, because this code as is wouldn't work. We need to add a @ symbol in front of each of these. So when we add an @ in front of a variable inside Ruby, it turns it into an instance variable. This is how we grant the view access to variables. So because inside of our controller, our tweet has that @ symbol, we can now access that tweet variable using that @ symbol inside of our views.
Instance.
But what if we don't
Alright.
like that default? What if we don't want it to render out the show view? Instead, we want it to render out status.html.erb.
That'd be
Well, we
crazy.
can specify that inside of our show method
Is that okay?
by simply writing render action status. This will then render out our status.html.erb. This code works great as is, but you can see that we're only ever rendering the tweet with the ID of 1. But what if we wanted to go to any one of these other URLs and specify the ID
Then you
of the
need
tweet
to pull in
that
that
we wanna
parameter
see?
somehow.
How would we look
Show
that up? How would we
colon
use that parameter out
arg?
of the URL?
I don't know.
Well, it turns out if we write URLs like this, Rails will generate for us a new hash called params, which contains a hash of the value passed in. To access that value, to load the proper tweet, all we need to do in our controller is specify params ID. That's going to look up the proper tweet and render it out to the page. Let's look at a few more examples with parameters.
I need someone to That's what I need. Sometimes things are on the right, sometimes they're on the left. I feel like there's a special meaning for that.
If we had a URL like you see here, and we're just using standard URL query parameters, Rails would create a parameter hash for us, which might look something like this, which we could then use inside of our controller if we set it up properly to create a new tweet. So you can see here, we're creating a new tweet, and we're grabbing the status out of the parameter to create that tweet. However, often in Rails, our parameters might look something like this, where we have a hash within a hash. You see that? So how would we access a status out of this to create a tweet?
Why would you do that, man? Why wouldn't you just slash create slash I'm dead? This is trying to create one. Why? Who would this be creating it for? You don't have an ID. I don't know.
Well, we could write tweet create status params tweet status, like you see here. So we have to specify two keys to get to the value we want inside this hash within a hash. There's an alternate.
Okay, see, Code Igniter does it for you, I think. Although I've never seen anything like that in Code Igniter, like a double. Maybe you can do it somehow. Maybe you have to do it the same way. But why wouldn't they just say, hey, there must be a reason why they don't decide to, if given this, they throw it into this mode. There must be a specific reason you do this.
Syntax we can use here because our tweet method is expecting a hash. So we can just specify params tweet, and what it's going to send in to create is the hash which contains status I'm dead. inside this hash within a hash. There's an alternate syntax we can use here because our tweet method is expecting a hash. So we can just specify params tweet, and what it's going to send in to create is the hash which can
My brain isn't fully working. I know he went over that, but I know it's key value. Key colon value, I guess.
contains status I'm dead.
I don't see how they're
See
getting no
how
status.
those two lines are equivalent? But I think the second one is better because it's obviously writing less code and it's not recreating a hash. It's pretty advanced. Now before we
You are correct, that is advanced.
move on, there's something a little rotten about this code. Users might be able to set any attributes by
Yeah.
sending in additional keys and values for this hash on the URL. Luckily in Rails 4, we're required to use strong parameters, which makes our code more secure. We'll also need to specify the parameter key that our action is expecting. In our case, we're going to require that the tweet key is sent in from our hash. We also need to specify the attributes we'll permit to be set
I feel like this was added later.
from this hash. We'll simply call these two methods on our parameter hash, and now our code is a lot more secure. If there were multiple things we needed to permit on this hash, we could use an array, like you see here, allowing us to set the status and location on the tweet.
You still put the damn colon in front, you don't. So you're making a array of values of a hash, maybe.
We only need to use strong parameters and require and permit
I'm gonna check
when
level
we're
1 again.
setting multiple attributes when we're creating or updating.
Creating or updating multiple. Okay.
One of the reasons people use Rails is to create back-end APIs. It's
Yeah.
great for that if you're building an iPhone app, an Android app, or
Yeah.
you need to provide a
That's what I'm
developer
doing.
API to your web service.
Yeah.
You know, you might want to supply XML. You might also want to supply JSON code. So let's show you how easy it is to do that with Rails.
JSON.
If we want the JSON representation
Yeah.
of our tweet,
No.
we could send in the URL tweets/1.json. Then inside of our show method, we need to add some code. We need to tell our Rails app what formats this can respond to. So first, we're going to say that it responds to the format of HTML. Now that hash sign there, that's just a comment that actually has no effect on anything. It doesn't even have to be there. But a lot of times you'll see people will add a little reminder that it's only because we write format.html that it will try to render out show.html.erb by default. Now here,
That's a good reminder because why would you put format? Okay.
comes the JSON part. We need to tell our application that this method responds to the JSON format. And when it does, we want to render out the JSON representation of this particular tweet. And that's all there is to it. The request goes through, and it renders out the JSON
Format.xml. What
of
does
the tweet.
the other? Okay.
Then,
But-
if we want this to respond,
Holy crap! I'm gonna fail this quiz so hard. But you put it in brackets this time. This is not in brackets. There's not even a comma here. Responds to do format. Format.html. So do because we're in the show, format is show.html.erb. I can see that this is, if it's HTML, okay, then
to XML, our request might have one.xml in it, and then inside of our method we need to write format.xml, render the XML format of this
At least that
tweet.
makes sense.
And then that renders back out the proper XML for this tweet. In a typical Rails application, you're going to see a lot of the same controller actions inside the controller. Let's go over some of these. First, you have the index action, which is going to list all the tweets, the show action to show a single tweet, the new action to show a new tweet form, the edit action to show an edit tweet form, the create action to create a tweet, the update action to update a tweet, and finally, the destroy action to delete a tweet. As you might imagine, most of these actions are going to have views associated with them that we'll need to write. We already wrote some of the URLs which will call these actions. For example, when we list out the tweets, remember that edit link? When we click on that link, it's going to go into our tweets controller. It's going to call the edit action. So inside of that method, we need to first retrieve the tweet that we want to edit. So we're going to go ahead and do that like we did a moment ago, getting the parameter ID. And then it's going to go and render the edit action, which might look something like this, where we have a form and we can click that update tweet button. But we're not going to define that in this course. If we go to /tweets in our application and we get our listing tweets form, right now we can click edit and destroy on any of these tweets. But obviously we don't want to allow anyone to delete or edit anyone else's tweets. We need to add some sort of simple authentication so that when they click on one that doesn't belong to them, it shows on the screen, sorry, you can't
Wait, are we going to create authentication right now?
edit that tweet.
This way.
How might we do that?
It said simple,
To implement
so
this authorization, we need to add some code to our edit action. Inside here, we're going to check to see if the user's current session zombie ID is not equal to the current tweet's zombie ID. What is session, you might be asking?
Yeah.
Well, session
Yeah,
works
yeah.
like a per user hash. Every user gets their own session hash that we can store things in. And that's what we usually do when somebody logs in. We set a variable on session that maybe has their zombie ID in it. So we're checking to see if the current user is not the person who posted this tweet. And if they're not, we need to send them a message. We do that by setting a flash notice. And we say, sorry, you can't edit this tweet. What is flash? Well, flash is another one of these helper hashes that we can use in Rails to send messages back to the user. Next, we need to redirect the user out of this action because we don't want to render the edit page. We don't want to show them that form. They're not allowed to see it. So we're going to redirect them back to the tweets path. You know, that whole tweets listing page. Redirect to
notice the spacing is very uniform, and then also if end, I kind of prefer the brackets, but whatever.
allows you to redirect.
They should really have a mode where you can easily see the layers by color. Have each depth be a different color so you can instantly say, hey, this if.
the browser to a different action. There's an alternate, shorter syntax for these last two lines of code. We can actually write redirect to tweets path and send in the notice as a second argument.
So you do that first. And
Our next
so it's actually the same. They just put tweets path first and then a notice.
step before we jump into the browser is we need to specify in our layout where we want this notice to show up. It doesn't just show up by default. So we're going to specify here if a flash notice exists, if there's a message waiting for the user, in other words, then go ahead and print it out to the screen like so.
Well, that's nice.
Now if we go hit edit and our session zombie ID doesn't match the zombie
But
ID
I never logged in.
of the current tweet, well, it's going to redirect us back to this listing page and give us this flash notice. Sweet, we did it.
You create a log and
Now if we jump back into our tweets controller and we define the rest of these actions, we would quickly find that some of these methods have a lot of the same code. Both edit, update, and destroy need to look up the current ID of the tweet and need to check authorization.
Okay.
And we don't want to have to
Dry.
write that code over and over
Edit.
again. Remember, Rails is dry. Don't repeat yourself. So how might we be able to get rid of that repetition? If we took a look inside these actions, we would see that the first thing that all of them do is fetch the current tweet. So that's duplication right there. Let's move that up into a method. We're going to call it getTweet. And now we're going to write some code that says, before every action, call getTweet. If we left it like this, this means before every action in here, it would call this getTweet method. But we don't want it to happen before every method.
action.
Instead, we
Action
only want it to happen with edit, update, and destroy. So
Wait.
first thing that all of them do, and now we're going to write some code that says, before every action,
Get tweet.
call getTweet. If we left it like this, this means before every action in here, it would call this getTweet method. But we don't want it to happen before every method. Instead, we only want it to happen with edit, update, and destroy. So we use that code right there.
So colon, that is an action in this case, or a method, same thing. It's an array of it. Okay. Why do they insist on the colon? I don't know. Is the colon a method? It must be. The shorthand wants to leave that to say, hey, this is a method. Get tweet, that's a method. It's calling it there.
The other bit
Might
of
be
code
onto
we would
something.
see over and over again is the
need to
authorization
check
code.
that.
Remember, it looks something like this? Let's go ahead and wrap that in a method called checkAuth. And now we'll have another before action. We'll say before action, call checkAuth. Again, only for edit, update, and destroy.
Okay. Cool.
And now we've dried up our code, eliminated that duplication, and now when we go into our browser, and we click edit on anything we're not supposed to edit, we get back, sorry, we can't edit that tweet. That
Rails
was a
for
lot of
zombies.
information, but don't worry, you'll get it. Go exercise your brain.
It's only been 36
Challenge.
minutes.
It will make it more delicious.
I like that you try. I can tell it's a little forced, but I like it, you know. It's awesome. Create the show action for zombie controllers. Zombies controller. Which finds a zombie based on params. I'm gonna watch the first level actually real quick because this is important. This is really bothering me. What? But it's written in Ruby on Rails, isn't it? Let me see if I can find it quick.
Rails for spreadsheet is multiple key values. One of them. Concatenate them together in values out of a hash. Malicious break. Read values out of a hash. Well, we can do that by simply specifying and the values hash recipe, you might say, looks something like this. And as we go through this course,
These variable key value hash. It's a series. There's a comma here, colon.
so you're going to be seeing a couple different recipes when we want to show you what the underlying syntax looks like. The anatomy of a hash has keys and values. So ID, status, and zombie are all keys, And the values here
Keys.
are 3, I just ate some delicious brains, and Jim. The second two are strings. The first is obviously an integer.
So it could be a key or a method or an action. If it's over, though here it's on the left-hand side.
And we call these keys symbols. Ruby symbols because they
These keys are symbols. Okay.
have that colon in front of them.
Okay. It's a symbol.
So we're storing a new hash inside that B variable. But how do we read values out of a hash? Well, we can do that by simply specifying B and sending in the key status.
Symbol. B. Symbol.
This returns, I just ate some delicious brains. Here's how we would get the zombie, returning Jim. And we could also collect multiple keys and concatenate them together.
It's hard for my
into a
brain to
string,
accept this,
getting
but
Jim said, I just ate some
these are keys and they're symbols. And because they're symbols, they have this in front.
delicious brains. Here's a recipe for reading values out of a hash.
Variable. Colon. Key.
Back to our zombie challenge, where we want to return the tweet with the ID equals 3. We kind of want the result of whatever code we're about to write to return something like this hash so we can read out the values from it. And the code needed to solve this challenge looks something like this. T equals tweet.find3. This is going to return
Still, how does the find know which one is that?
something that we can then print out to the screen. The tweet port in that
I think we go into that stuff now, so, okay. Symbol. Key. Yeah. Create the show action for the zombie which finds the zombie based on params ID. Oh man. Create the show action. This is the show action for the zombie controller, which finds a zombie based on params :ID. I really wish I had like a photographic memory here. I can kind of see it, but I can't fully see it. Zombie object to an instance variable. So I don't know. Man, why is it 1? Because I'm finding one zombie, I guess that makes sense. But I'm looking amongst multiple zombies. So there's that distinction. It's not where I'm looking amongst, it's what I want. Why does this say I've been live for... Hang on, I'm gonna watch the stream real quick. The seconds are being weird. I'll show it here. But I'm looking amongst multiple zombies. So there's that distinction. It's not where I'm looking amongst, it's what I want. Why does this say I've been live for... Hang on, I'm gonna watch the stream. Okay. Well, it sounds right to me, so I'll go back. Anyway, I did it. Yeah. Next challenge. Finish the respond to block. So the auction returns the XML format.xml. I don't know. Respond to do format. Yeah, I did that. Tell Rails inside that block the @zombie does it. Inside that block. Okay, I guess. And I knew I should remember that. Hi. This one's hard. Write a create action that will create a new zombie from the params. There's no way. I ain't doing it. Although I should. Oh, it's already done. This is the strong parameters. So apparently that's creates one for you. Check it against. You just send the zombie params. Zombie underscore params. Oh, defined it. My brain is mush now, I think. Because what if, yeah, I leave it like that? Does he get mad at me? Define? I don't remember we had to define it. Maybe we did. Give me. Oh, wow. Oh, they're kind of helping me. Only show. I should come back in a week or a few days, tomorrow even, see if I can do this on my own. I didn't even read this one though. I know it would be. Add it before action that calls a method to check if a zombie has tweets. Or detect a zombie's path. Check tweets. Where do they call check tweets? Oh, before action. All. Only. Show. Why wouldn't you just put it in here? I should sign up. I got 4,000 points. Just saying. It says 50 seconds, 50 minutes, but my other thing says an hour and a half, which I think is correct. I don't know. Time is changing in the present. Okay, level 5, we can do it. Routing into darkness.
Down your brains and your entrails. It's time to stop and learn some rails. 'Cause we got something new to grab. Rails for Zombies by Andy Land.
You're watching Rails for Zombies, and this is level 5, where we're going to be going over routing through Rails. Now here we are, back in our browser, and a request comes in, and it goes to our 4 components. And remember, it comes in, it goes to the controller gets data from models, and then the controller leverages the view to then send the view back out to the browser. Well, there's the 4th component here, which are routes. And we've kind of already been using them. We just haven't talked about it yet. You see, in order to properly find these paths and, well, have them route into these actions, we need to define routes inside of our router. Inside of our Zombie Twitter application, we have a folder called config. Inside config is our routes file, routes.rb. Inside of there, you can see it's kind of got our application namespace, Zombie Twitter application routes draw do, and it's inside of this block that we write our routes. So it's in here that we need to write resources tweets. We like to call this a RESTful route, and that one line gives us all of these different URL generators to use. You can see the URLs that each of these generate, as well as the actions that these paths map to inside of our tweets.
I have to rewind it.
These paths and, well, have them route into these actions, we need to define routes inside of our router. Inside of our Zombie Twitter application, we have a folder called config. Inside config is our routes file, routes.rb. Inside of there, you can see it's kind of got our application namespace, Zombie Twitter application routes draw do, and it's inside of this block that we write our routes. So it's in here that we need to write resources tweets. We like to call this a RESTful route, and that one line gives us all of these different URL generators to use. You can see the URLs that each of these generate, as well as the actions that these paths map to inside of our tweets controller.
Cool.
Our routes file is
So it does all
typically
that for
boring
us.
if we're using standard RESTful routes like resources tweet.
Let's look at the route file real quick, just because. Oh. Mailers? Man, I'm out of luck. I ain't got no route. Ain't got no route. Okay.
Or we could even do resources, tweets, comma, zombies. But we need to know more syntax inside of our routes when it comes to custom routes. For example, if we want to make it so that when someone goes to new_tweet, it will then render the same thing as when we go to tweet/new. Tweet/new, as you know, renders out that new action. So in this case, our controller name is tweets, our action name is new. That's what we want to invoke.
3,000.
To create this custom route inside of our routes file, we need to specify what method to accept. In our case, it's just get, because we're just going to enter in that URL and maybe link to it. We'll specify the path of this custom URL, and then we'll send in a string. This string is going to specify the controller name and the action name this custom route should invoke, with the pound sign to separate the two. So now if we jump into our browser and go to new_tweet, we get the new tweet view. Now we want to make it so that when a user goes to /all, they see the same thing as if they went to /tweets. So just listing all of the tweets. So that's basically the same thing as calling the index action inside the tweets controller. So our controller name here is tweets. The action name is index. So inside of our routes.rb, we want to specify get all tweets pound index. However, if we want to link to this custom path, how do we do it? Do we specify the actual path? It would work if we just specified a string, but that's considered a bad practice. So to add a custom URL generator, we will specify in our routes file an extra argument. We simply specify as, and then give it a name. This is a named route. Then in our link to helper, we can specify all tweets _ path, and it will properly link to the all URL. So now if we go into our browser, we can see when we go to /all, it lists out all of the tweets. Let's say we rewrote our application in Rails, and there's lots of incoming links that are going to /all to list out all the tweets. We don't want that to be the definitive URL. Now we want the definitive URL to be /tweets. So we need a way to redirect all to /tweets. How do we do that? We can simply write get all redirect tweets. That's all there is to it. And when a user's browser goes to /all, their browser will redirect to /tweets. We can also redirect to other URLs even. So when someone goes to /Google, we could redirect them to Google. Next, we need to talk about the root route. So this is what your users will see when they just go to your domain, just your root domain. We need to specify which controller and which action to render when this happens. To do this in our routes file, we simply specify root to, and then send in a controller and an action. That's all there is to
Controller
it.
and action.
If we wanted to link to
That's
this
what's
root
going
path,
on there.
we could specify root path as our URL generator. Now let's look at a more complex example. What if we wanted to allow for a URL that somebody could send in a zip code and get just the local tweets returned, and it would have a listing of tweets? Well, we already have a page that has a listing of tweets. It's our index page. So why don't we just reuse that action for this example? So inside of our index action, we're going to have a conditional params zip code. And if that exists, if zip code exists, that's what we're saying, then do a query where zip code is equal to that parameter that was sent in. Otherwise, simply query for all of the tweets and respond to this request. That's all the code we need to write there. To make this route
Yeah,
work
where is kinda
inside of
crazy.
our routing file, we need to write get local tweets,
Colon.
and then we need to specify the name of the parameter that our application will expect. In this case, it's zip code, so we're going to write :zip code. It's only because of this that our application knows to store our zip codes when they come into our application in a parameter with the key of zip code. And this, of course, points to our tweets controller, the index action. We also might want to name this route, so we're going to add as local tweets, which would allow us to say link to tweets in 32828 and then specify the URL generator local tweets path 32828. Now, you know how some websites like Twitter, people go to slash and then the username, and in this case with Twitter it would call up all the tweets for GitHub? How might we implement that in our routing file? So in this case, if somebody goes to /Greg Pollock or ealum or /NV Labs, we only want to show the tweets for those zombies. To do this in our routes file, we want to add a route that should be at the bottom of our file.
Oh, instead of
Say
ID.
Get :name, and then specify the controller tweets, the index action as zombie tweets. Now, if we wanted to create a link, we could say link to Greg, zombie tweets path, Greg Pollock, and it would generate the proper URL.
It's hurting my brain a little bit. Kind of see it. Get name. I wish I could see the URL. That would get that input. I think it's missing something. And then the zombie path, zombie tweets path.
And since we're calling the index action, we would need to jump into the index action, check to see if there's a parameter called name. If there is, we'll go and fetch the zombie where name is equal to the name that was sent in. That's going to return an array, so we need to call .first, which will get back the first item in that array, which will hopefully be me. And then we're going to call zombie.tweets, which will get all of the tweets for me and store that in the tweets instance variable. If the parameter name
Has
wasn't
many
sent in,
stuff.
then we can just do tweets equals tweet all. You'll notice in this last one here, we don't have respond to. That's because by default, if we're not needing to respond to any JSON requests or any XML requests, all we're doing is HTML, then it's fine not to include that respond to block. Now if we go to /ash, for example, we get back only Ash's tweets.
Cool.
We've
And
reached the end
somehow
of
knows
the Rails
name,
for
not an
Zombies
ID.
videos. It's time for just a few more challenges to earn your Rails for Zombies badge. And then I will see you in the super secret outro video where I'll tell you where to go next to continue learning Rails.
Cool.
To get shit out of the database. That 3, I can count. Super secret.
Bubble. Okay. So he had a whole production studio going on. Man, there ain't no way, okay? Create a resource route. Let's hint this mother up. Yeah, I didn't remember that. So I'm in the routes.rb do resource. This is where I like sample examples. I just like looking at examples, but I should just do it because I will never learn it without just doing it. Copying it is probably not going to do it either. Give zombies a resources route. Resources. So they said it backwards. You see. Although I don't really even know what this is doing. create a custom route that says undead. We'll go to the undead action on the zombie's controller. Get undead. I have no idea. I knew that, but I didn't know what you do. This, huh? But not what I would guess. So you point it to the controller and then the action. Oh man, I'm gonna use the slash. What? Oh, this. They don't like using parentheses very often. A little bit used to it. Create a redirect for get undead I don't know. Man. Although I so now this time bite my tongue off. What? You didn't use this. Why do we use that? And we put a 2. I would think that would be enough. So in the previous one we did an action. Now we pointed it to it. Why don't we just do redirect to in the action? So I don't know. Okay, what did I mess up? Oh. I kind of, my brain's kind of there. Create a route to the zone is route. I am root. I am Groot. I am root. Index. Something. I don't know. There's no way that is right. Oh, hell no. Now there's this. Oh, that was there too. My bad. I was close. Okay. Create a named route. It should generate path like zombies. Get name to there ain't no way. I'm not even thinking right now. Index. Where's the index? I guess 2 hours is my limit. As. Oh, I was using as. Y'all gave me as. Zombies, colon, index, zombies, name, colon, name. What? How close was I? Get. Oh. Whoops. Cool. Wait, did I already sign up? I think I already have one. What? Where's my super secret video? Did I mess up?
Down your brains and
You didn't? Man, I was looking forward to the super secret video. Man, where's my video at? Where's it at, yo? I was hoping all that was done automatically. I have a feeling that it was not. Whoa. I don't want to watch the
down your brains.
We need to define routes inside of our router. Inside of our
Aww. Where do I go, guys? Don't leave me hanging. Recently played. Try R, get real. I need to do Git someday. Ruby Masters. Oh my god. Are these free? Try Ruby, play this course for free. Play the first level for free. You have to do 10 to be a master. I'm a zombie outlaw. Half Cherokee and Chipmunk. Wow, they all have custom. So he was the dude.
test unit and RSpec, but there was just so much to cover. And RSpec sort of needed its own course. So I'm really happy that we worked on this new course, testing with RSpec, which covers everything that you need to know to get started with RSpec, which is probably the most popular Ruby testing framework out there.
Our previous Rails courses had used a zombie theme, and we wanted to stay consistent with that, but build a bigger brand behind it. As a design lead, I was able to expand that universe, and we wanted to pursue a brand new direction, but still keep the idea. That's where we came up with this idea of the Soviet zombie uprising. As design lead, I was able to create a universe that expanded on the original idea, but was able to use inspiration from old traditional Soviet uniforms, weaponry, vehicles, and the whole world that was created back then, as it may have been imagined if it happened today.
One of the great realizations that came to me as we were finishing the content for this course was the way RSpec pushes you to think about the behavior of your application in a more crucial way, rather than simply testing things, making sure that your application works the way a user would expect it to work, not simply from your perspective as a developer. And I think that's really, really crucial, and that's something that RSpec will bring you if you go to this course.
Matt
Here at NV
Schultz.
Labs, we use RSpec a lot for a lot of the client work that we do. Pretty much every project we do uses RSpec, and everyone on the team becomes fluent in it. So it was a lot of fun digging into the depths of RSpec to see how it does everything.
The thing that I really liked about RSpec was it was just like natural language. You wrote it out just like you speak it.
One of the really cool things about RSpec is that it's got a super readable syntax, but one of the daunting things about it is once you get past the basics on RSpec, you hit this implicit syntax and things that are kind of done for you behind the scenes. When I was going through the Code School videos, I kind of had some questions in my head, like, is it going to be worth it to go down this path? But in the end, after doing the hands-on examples, I can see that using the shorthand syntax is definitely going to facilitate you to be able to write more tests on a daily basis than really spelling everything out in every test. It's just a matter of getting hands-on, which is one of the great things about Code School. It lets you get hands-on and then you're familiar with it and it's no problem.
It's hard to put one name as the author for this course because it was one of the greatest group efforts we've done so far. Adam and Matt built the original content. Greg and I worked on the slides with Adam's help. And then later on, Tony, Adam, and even Nate helped us refine the course, make sure that it was.
So they built courses in NV Labs, huh? That's kind of crazy. Y'all didn't tell me where to go though. I'm a little sad. Code. What I want is GitHub. Redux. Code School was made by NV. Interesting. Okay, makes more sense. They're doing it pretty well though. It's good for them. They look like they're pretty organized. A lot of moving parts. And it seems to be coming out really clean. They must have got a lot of funding to be able to do all this, but I guess. And then the question is, are they making money from this? I would think so, but. Interesting. This is where I want to be. I want to be able to do this. Pretty much. I don't know any of those. No, I do. Where's my? I need the code, man. 2. I already did that. Build the reading list apps. In coding school. All coding school. I don't got money, man. Yeah, I do, but I don't want to spend it on all that. Mr. Greg again. I shouldn't look at Angular, though I want to. Gems, huh? It's related to gems. Gem store? What the heck is that? I don't even know. Ember? Do you have Ember? Warming up with Ember. Jeez, they have a lot of artists, huh? Pretty well done. Greg, you're busy. Rendering the flame. Ember router. Okay. Man. Yeah, there needs to be a school for all this stuff. But really, where's the source code? No idea what I'm looking at. Oh. Some sort of Rails for zombies? Is that a thing? Please. Please. With Code TV. Oh, that's sad. Where's my credit? I want my video and my credit. I don't see what's being highlighted. don't think there is a... Alright, well, I'm going to take a break. I might program some. I might not stream it. I might. Let this sink in a little bit. I really wish I ended up with source code. But c'est la vie. I will maybe find source code from somewhere else, try it out, and if I can figure it out, then I will let y'all know, and I'll show you everything I've learned. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Until next time, stream out.